My name is Steven and I am from Georgia. I came out here for school about 5 years ago, and I work at the Mission with Family Ministries as part-time staff. I never anticipated coming down here in the first place, and that's probably a lot of why I find a security in that this is God's call, and that's been reaffirmed by various experiences and people. And until I feel the call to go elsewhere, or that becomes apparent that I'm not helping or being effective down here. A lot of the people that are out here are in their 40s and 50s and have been on the street for a number of years, and they know about the different social services in the area. People will come in to get bread or a snack or a meal at one of the services, and they'll find out about the in-house program. And if they're interested and willing to make that commitment to try to get off drugs, then they'll come into the program. I think it's important to remember that people on Skid Row that are sleeping in the gutter are people like you and I who are just simply struggling with sins. So whereas somebody else's sin might be okay socially, like, you know, they're greedy and so they have more money or something, I don't know. A person who's struggling with drugs or for some other reason, or maybe is mentally ill, has ended up on the street. That's a different type of stronghold, but it's still the same thing. It's still sin that they're struggling with as human beings and the whole fallen nature. If a person doesn't want to get off drugs, they're not going to. The power of addiction and the cycles of addiction are strong enough to where if somebody does not commit to themselves to get off drugs and to stay off drugs, then they won't. When I first came down to Skid Row, I thought I would see God working in powerful ways, because this is really where belief hits the road, And a lot of times I'm not privy to seeing God as much, but we do have some of the kids that have gone through our after-school program that have gotten into colleges, and these are kids from working poor families that are just barely making it every month, and they're going to Long Beach and UCLA and USC on full scholarships, and those are the situations where it's like, this is it. I've known people who live in little groups, so maybe 4 or 5 people will live in their tents, and they'll kind of look after each other and try to care for each other and watch each other's backs, essentially. And so you see little groups like that sometimes functioning as, I think the word used was village. And so that's one way. But most of the families tend to be in either SRO housing or in a hotel in the area. I have met probably about 4 or 5 families in my time here. But one of the things, we have women's services twice a week. And every women's service will have social service agents here who are specifically going after women with families to give them housing and to hook them up with that. And that's one of the things that we've really seen Villaraigosa and the Los Angeles government pushing, is that they don't want families on Skid Row. There's a reason why if you're white and you're walking on the streets here, you're offered drugs 4 or 5 times per block. That says something about the demographic that are coming down to buy drugs. Other problems, I would probably just say people who don't care. I'm amazed at how many people who ask me for money, or on my walk here, and I stop and say, I'm sorry, I don't have anything, but talk to them and try to treat them as much as I can as a human being, honestly, and say, come by and I'll try to help you out with anything I can here at the Mission. A lot of the people that I've talked to and met tend to be on drugs. I would probably say 85 to 90%. There are also a great deal of mentally ill people here, though. There's also a great deal of mentally ill people who are on drugs as well, though. I do know that some of the jails will drop people off here simply because there's more prevalence of social service agencies and places to sleep. And if you have somebody who doesn't have a family or doesn't have anybody to take care of them or anywhere to go after they get out of jail, it makes sense that you take them to where there's a place for them to sleep and find meals and the services they need to survive. I think that's the ideal, to see Skid Row go away. I'm not much of a utopian myself, though. I would love to see it go away, at least to see everybody having homes. I mean, nobody should be on the street, sleeping on the gutter. There are a couple of tangible ways in which I can think of people helping specifically. For instance, we have a women's service twice a week where we give out clothing, and that's all reliant upon people bringing down clothes to donate, and not just any clothes, but clothes that you can give out that don't have lots of stains and tears, and things that are legitimate clothes. Also food pantries that rely on people coming and donating food. That's another way, so donating food, donating clothes, of course donating money. Donating time consistently is huge. A lot of people on Skid Row lack hope. A lot of people on Skid Row have been doing drugs for a very long time, and there is a sense of hopelessness. A lot of people on Skid Row who come in contact with the church come in contact with people who are more interested in spreading their theology and their dogma than in truly loving somebody. So I think that if I was to be an ambassador for Skid Row, I would say just love people, and love people sincerely without an agenda. And maybe that means helping to finance a house that says we're going to give you housing even if you are still struggling with your addictions, that says it's more important to love somebody rather than to spread dogma.